News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Monica Ricks. That's your closing bell on Wall Street. Stocks fueled by big earnings reports today, including McDonald's, Uber, and Disney. The Dow added 82 points, up about 0.2%. The Nasdaq in record territory, but didn't quite hit the mark. It added 253 points, up 1.2%. The S&P added 45 points, up about 0.75%. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.21%. The 2-year Treasury yield at 3.69%. Shares of Apple are up 5.1% right now, ahead of its highly anticipated announcement, which is happening any minute now. Apple plans to invest another $100 billion to domestic manufacturing. That's on top of the $500 billion it's already pledged in the U.S. over the next 4 years to avoid higher tariffs on its products. More on that from Bloomberg's Anurag Rana.
Tim Cook is doing what he's doing to make sure that the administration is not unhappy with him and the company and is not going to put any additional tariffs because, as we have seen even today, President Trump's not happy with what's happening in India and is putting additional tariffs on it. So far, smartphones are exempt from a lot of this stuff, but that doesn't mean, things cannot change.
Hear more from Anurag Rana on the Bloomberg Intelligence podcast. An Army sergeant is in custody now in southeast Georgia, accused of shooting 5 soldiers at Fort Stewart near Savannah.
Thankfully, all are in stable condition and all are expected to recover.
Brigadier General John Lubis identified the shooter as 28-year-old Army Sergeant Cornelius Radford,
an automated logistics sergeant assigned to 2nd Brigade Combat Team. Sergeant Radford has not previously deployed to combat. Sergeant Radford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and is currently in pretrial confinement, awaiting a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel.
A motive for the shooting has not been released. President Trump highlighted great progress in a meeting between his envoy and Russian President Vladimir Putin today. So much so that the New York Times now reports he plans to personally meet with Putin and Ukraine's President Zelensky to continue working towards a peace deal as soon as next week. Meantime, the president signed an executive order today imposing an additional 25% tariff on goods from India for buying Russian oil. Here's Bloomberg's Karin.
There's a lot of scrutiny on, yes, on the one hand, it's part of the tariff blitz, and you have to question what will this mean for the cost of goods and what will it mean for both economies. But the bigger story, I think, is what will it mean for relations between both governments, obviously at a very pivotal time in the geoeconomic space, and whether or not there can be an off-ramp on this in the near term. I think those are the real questions people are asking.
Hear more from Karin on the Bloomberg Intelligence podcast. Those extra duties will take effect by the end of the month and will be in addition to the 25% tariffs already set by Trump. No deal for Swiss President Karin Keller-Sutter. She flew all the way to Washington, met with Secretary of State Marco Rubio today in hopes of lowering 39% tariffs, and she's set to leave soon without an agreement or a meeting with President Trump. Switzerland now has the highest American tariff of any developed nation. That's set to take effect at midnight. Democratic lawmakers who left Texas to block a redistricting vote had to evacuate a hotel in Illinois today over a bomb threat. No one was hurt, but Governor J.B. Pritzker says he plans to investigate. And it comes a day after Texas Republicans threatened to have Dems arrested. President Trump even suggested the FBI get involved.
Well, I think they've abandoned the state.
Should the FBI get involved?
Well, they may have to. Trump
talking to ABC there. But many state Democrats are standing strong against the vote. The redrawn maps would give Republicans a leg up in next year's midterms. President Trump's advisors are now encouraging him to nominate a temporary Federal Reserve governor to fill the soon-to-be vacant seat on the central bank's board. But Bloomberg's Laura Davidson tells us even that takes time.
It does need to go to the Senate for confirmation. The Senate is out on recess, so it's likely that they won't actually pick that up until early September. Typically, this is a process that takes many months, but Trump has put a lot of pressure on lawmakers recently, both on moving the tax bill, moving other political appointees through the process. So this is something that, if the Senate moves quickly, they could do this in just a couple weeks.
Bloomberg's Laura Davidson reports current Fed Governor Adriana Kugler plans to vacate the role on Friday ahead of the end of her term, which expires in January. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Monica Ricks, and this is Bloomberg.